What's up, everybody? I'm Simon Sabra, and today we're going to be talking about the first omnibus for Homunculus. So, before we get into that, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Simon Sabra YT. Link for that will always be down in the description. Also, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss an upload, all of that good stuff. Also, comment down, have you read it yet? I know it's been out digitally for a minute, and I know a lot of people did love it. So if you have read it all the way through digitally, comment down how you feel about it. No spoilers, of course. If you just read the first volume like I have, still go ahead, comment down how you feel about it. But with all that out the way, let's just jump right into it. All right, so before I actually start talking about the series for real, or the manga, or the volume, or the omnibus, I guess, before we start talking about it for real, I do just want to kind of say real quick, there will be spoilers in it. It is kind of just a manga review. I literally just finished reading it, and I was like, I could make a little video on this. I kind of would enjoy talking about it. So I was like, we'll talk about it, and blase, whatever. So definitely expect spoilers, but I do just want to say, thank you guys so much for the support as of recently. I think I say this a lot, probably like every other video at this point, but just want to let y'all know that I really do appreciate every single one of y'all a lot. It means a lot to me when y'all watch my videos and stuff, but thank you guys. Just wanted to say that I really do appreciate it. And let's kind of just get on moving with it. So it is an omnibus, but there's no chapters. There was no point in which it felt like there were chapters. Before we start getting into the contents of the actual book, just want to talk about the outside of the book real quick. The cover is clean. I'm actually not sure what the Japanese volume 1 and 2 covers are, but looks clean. I don't know if it's getting picked up, but there's a skull in the back. Here's our main character, Susumu. I forgot his name, Hideaki, or okay, nope, it's Nakoshi. Nakoshi Susumu. This will have more relevance later. This also has more relevance. I'm kind of gonna assume you've read the book. Also, this is a very heavy book. Yeah, here's the thickness of it. This is just a really heavy book. And it was very uncomfortable for me to hold. Even right now, I kind of have to switch hands because my arm's getting exhausted just holding this. But also, I do hold books kind of weird. I think I've said this before. I hold books like this, and as you'd imagine, it's not the most comfortable for a book this size. But outside of that, really did enjoy the book. If you came just to hear my overall thoughts on it, I really did enjoy it. I'm definitely gonna pick up the next omnibus whenever that comes out. Now, I will say, and here's the back of the book in case you have not read it and you're kind of just watching this and you're on the fence about whether you should read it or not. Here's the back of the book in case you don't know anything about it. And a little disclaimer, there are some, especially towards the end, some really strange topics in here, so to say. But okay, now to actually get into the contents of the book, here's the very first page, which was kind of disturbing actually. When I first read it, felt like this was a very interesting page. But long story short, there's our main character. Was it Nakoshi? Yeah, Nakoshi Susumu, and he lives inside of his car, and he kind of lives with homeless people in a sense, but not really. He'll spend time with them to eat and wash his face and brush his teeth, stuff like that. But he doesn't associate with them any deeper to the point of even being able to call them associates, really. They're less than acquaintances kind of thing. But from what we can tell, Nakoshi, he's got some type of history of kind of a more lavish lifestyle. We really don't know what happened as of yet, at least. And here's a portrait or profile of the guy. But we really don't know much about him, in all honesty, even after having read this entire volume. I feel like I don't know much about him. But I feel like his writing is still really good. But I do want to talk more about the story before I get into the actual characters of it. And so he's broke. His car needs a little tune up. Was that how it went? I think. No, I don't think that's exactly how it went. But he needs some money because his car ran out of gas. And so this guy, I forgot his name, but it's a surgeon's son. We'll call him Goth Dude because he looks very goth. I'll show you a picture of him just now. But he shows up, offers Nakoshi a deal of, hey, I want to perform this surgery on you. I forgot what the name of the surgery is. I think it's Tabani. I really forgot the name. I'll probably put up like a dictionary definition of it on screen because I really forgot what the word is. But long story short, it's what this cover references, where they like drill a small hole into like your skull. Doesn't pierce your brain or anything like that. It's just a hole in your skull. And the belief is that it'll allow your brain to work a lot better because it has more, like there's not as much pressure on your brain by being confined in a skull. That's like the science behind it. And so this goth guy really wants to kind of just do that experiment and see how it actually turns out on a real human. And this is a picture of Goth Dude right here. Like I said, name I really forgot. But that's pretty much how the story starts. Like that's what kind of sets it off. And so I forgot his name, Susumu, the main character, his car gets towed. And so the only way he can get his car is he just does the surgery, which goes off without any complications. And the Goth Dude is like spectating him to kind of see any developments that may occur over the course of him getting this surgery, or now that he's gotten the surgery, like the course of him recovering from it, to kind of see if he'll develop any type of abnormal abilities, kind of like a sixth sense or anything like that. And that's kind of the basic, very, very basic premise of the story. And it's very interesting. It's honestly my type of story. And as I'll explain a lot later, that's kind of just me explaining the story as minimalistic as possible, spoiler free. If you haven't read it, that's like kind of the part that you need to know. Everything I'm about to say afterwards is now like actual spoiler territory. I haven't really like thought out or written down what I plan on saying because like I said, I just read it. Even though I know I just read it, I'm really bad with character names if you guys haven't noticed by now. But one of the main kind of things is Susumu. I really forget his name. I can only remember the Susumu part, and I don't think anyone calls him that in this book at all. But Susumu, the main character, because we don't know much about him outside of observations from Goth Guy and Goth Guy making inferences about Susumu, and that's kind of all we know. We know that he used to live a lavish lifestyle to where he was a regular at this really expensive hotel. Now he lives in his car. We don't really know what happened at all. But now, like I said, spoilers. And this is everything I'm going to talk about is in this volume. Because like I said, have not read anything beyond it. Also, there are some very graphic images in this book. Definitely not the worst images I've seen like ever. Not the most things that require like a trigger warning, but still stuff you might want to keep in mind nonetheless. But Susumu develops this ability of being able to see how people perceive themselves. Hopefully the way I worded that makes sense, but it's a little deeper than that. It's more so he's able to see himself in other people, or rather, I'm really bad at wording this, I'm sorry, but he's able to see his negative traits in other people and kind of like the parallels between him and others. And he's able to kind of just see that in other people without ever having met them. And the main example you'll see of this is him with a Yakuza boss, which is a little tricky to explain. I'm not gonna lie. The whole, I guess, arc of it is a little bit tricky to explain because there's a lot of psychological and neuroscience terms that are kind of mentioned in this book that I feel like you would want to actually keep up with on your own, because I'm definitely not a science teacher and the way I explain it will not sound good whatsoever. But that's also another thing to definitely keep in mind when reading this. There's a lot of terminology that will get thrown at you. Definitely not as much as something like Dr. Stone, where it's all about terminology, but this one will definitely, I feel like you'd find some things intriguing, especially because, like I said, everything we know about Susumu, this main character here, was told to us by other people, as well as the fact that I feel like the way the story is gonna go, like I said, he's able to see him or the negatives of himself in other people. And because of that, I feel like as the story progresses, the only way we'll learn more about this character is through his experience and encounters with other people. And to an extent, not like this is a very like distant comparison, honestly, but it kind of reminds me a bit of, if you're familiar, and I think this is probably like the fourth or fifth time I've referenced this in like all of my videos, but Persona 5, and how they kind of go into people's palaces and see the way that that person perceives the world. But I guess that, of course, well, this is me kind of rambling now, but I know a lot of Persona 5's design choices were inspired by a psychologist, or was he philosopher, Carl Jung? Forgot what exactly it was, but I want to say psychologist. I know he inspired a lot of Persona 5, so I'm sure there's probably like some parallels there. That's me just rambling. I do apologize. Hopefully you found it interesting. But this is that Yakuza member that I was speaking about earlier as this giant robot, and that's Susumu using his like sixth sense to see how the boss perceives himself, and the boss perceives himself as a robot, but as you'll see, it's more of he perceives himself as a little boy in a robot suit. Hopefully I could find a picture to kind of show to match what I'm talking about here. But that's it explains kind of, not explains, but you can kind of make the inference on your own of, hey, a little boy in a robot costume, okay, that means, you know, the boy is weak, but he wants to put on this strong facade as an outward appearance. And we can kind of, it gets revealed later on. I ain't gonna spoil everything for y'all now. I gotta make y'all, you know, want to read the book yourself. But it shows how Susumu himself also feels like he had to protect himself from other people. And like I said, I might not be the best at explaining it. It's a lot of psychological terms that I honestly don't remember despite having just read it. And so the one I found most interesting, and this is me kind of skipping towards the end, and this is major spoiler, very also like major graphic, not graphic, what do they call it? Trigger warning, I'm sorry. Pretty major trigger warning here. Towards the end, there's this girl who's clearly underage, and man, I don't even want to talk about it. I ain't even gonna lie, because it kind of disturbed me. It was like how I felt with Pleasure and Corruption Volume 6. If you did watch my most recent reading log, you'll know what I'm referring to. Also recent at the time of this recording, at least. Okay. But yeah, I don't even know if I want to explain it, but this dude at the end of the volume started scaring me. I ain't gonna lie. He started scaring me at the end of the volume. And I don't know if I mentioned this yet, actually. This is usually one of the first things I mention about a series, but the art in here is really good. And I've heard a lot about this as like one of like a top 5 seinen manga. I know this, and I forgot the mangaka's name, but I know they made The Climber, which I think is getting an English release, or was it Dracula or DRCL? I don't know if those are by the same people. I think they made Innocent as well, which I think Innocent is also getting an omnibus later on this year. I know Sunken Rock is also getting like a physical in English this year, and I've heard these are like really great seinen manga. And honestly, it's a great time to be a seinen fan, because it's been kind of slow recently, but honestly, with all of these like announcements and licenses and release dates coming up for all of these seinen manga, really excites me, because that's my favorite genre. And I know I'm kind of like just rambling at this point, but I really just wanted to kind of talk about this this series. Like I said, the last like little bit really did disturb me, and I feel like it might disturb a lot of people, but honestly, I don't know where the story is going to go from here. But just off of this first omnibus, which is just the first 2 volumes, I also don't know how long this series is, but just off of what we have in this book, it's really good. If you're into seinen, if you like darker stories that kind of reveal like the dark side of humanity's thoughts, or like the true side of what humans think, and kind of things like that, think maybe like Monster, Death Note, we could put on that list as well. Berserk as well, kind of things like that. But of course, this is a lot more grounded in reality. So things of that nature, especially, actually, I feel like if you like anything by Naoki Urasawa, you would probably like this, honestly. But that's pretty much all I had to say. Would definitely recommend this to almost anybody if you're a seinen fan. I know I keep on saying it. Also, if you're unfamiliar, seinen just means like manga catered towards more of like an adult audience. Kind of like that. That's about it. Which happens to be my favorite genre, technically, or category. I don't know what you'd really want to call it. But as a overall kind of thing, I really did enjoy this story. I will definitely be picking up the next volume, and the next volume, and the next volume, all the way until it's finished, because it is a series that I've been looking forward to for quite literally forever. And actually, I kind of just ruined the cover. I didn't know I had like ink on my hand somehow, but I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but there's like black spotches right here. I didn't know I had ink on my hand. I'm a little sad now, but it is what it is. And I'm gonna stop touching that because I think I'm making it worse. But that's pretty much it for the video. Let's give a quick shout out to our channel members. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. I really do appreciate it so much. You guys mean the most to me, and I really appreciate it a lot. Thank you guys. But that's it for the video. Once again, follow me on Instagram at SimonSabraYT. Link for that will always be down in the description. Also, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss an upload, all of that good stuff. Once again, comment down if you've read Homunculus yet or not, anything like that whatsoever. Also, I do have a gaming channel. Link for that will be down there in the description. And that's pretty much it. Thank you all so much for watching. This is Simon Sabra signing out. I'm gonna catch you on the next one.